a man who needs little introduction, co-founder, 20 years license, over 125, a social media master, Joe Herrera. All right.
First and foremost, I'm a chain breaker. I don't know how many people know me or know my story, but I come from a broken home like a lot of you. Vegas was a really dark place for my family. My mom had a lot of addictive behaviors, and Vegas is not, believe it or not, some of you probably found out this week, Vegas is not a great place for addictive behaviors. And so my mom, as a compulsive gambler, she chose her addictions over her children, and she left when I was 10 years old. And it's kind of ugly story, right? My dad's a hardworking guy. He's a Vietnam vet. He's a Marine, like my guy JMO, Semper Fi, like appreciate your service. And but the creation of wealth and entrepreneurialism is not ingrained in the Herrera genes. My grandfather, on my mom's side, on my dad's side, was the first Hispanic post office manager in the city of Los Angeles, which is awesome, right? But there's no entrepreneurialism. I don't know a single member of my family that has ever created anything. I know a lot of them that have worked 9-to-5 jobs and paycheck to paycheck living, paycheck cashing service to paycheck cashing service living. But I've never known any of them to create anything. So I'm just speaking from a position of vulnerability to tell you that the process of creation is new for me. I'm learning as I go, but it's super exciting. So in 2005, my business partner, Taylor Prince, who you'll meet this afternoon, and I formed the Joe Taylor Group. I'm a terrible student. I graduated high school. I need to get my transcripts. I think it was about 1.7 GPA. It was like D+, like, right? And so having that experience, education wasn't, I wasn't going to go to school and become a doctor. It just wasn't going to happen. I blame my mom. I need to take some personal accountability for this, but when I was a kid, my mom used to take me to the grocery store, and we would have a basket full of groceries, and she would play the slot machines. And she would tell me, if you don't tell your dad about it, we'd sit there for like an hour and a half. If you don't tell your dad about this, I won't make you do your homework, right? So as a third grader, fourth grader, it didn't really instill, I took so much out of what Justin taught. It didn't instill a lot of like decisions and beliefs and value and progression. It created a lot of really terrible habits, so becoming a student wasn't an option for me. I really wanted to be a personal injury attorney. I think I would have been awesome. Like actually, like talking about vision, I visualized myself up on the billboard, like in a wreck, need a check. Like that would have been me. I would have loved it. Or in a wreck, oh my heck, for those of you from Utah. I would have loved it. I would have killed it. But I knew I was good with people, and I knew I wanted to be better than my upbringing. And I mean that in no disrespect to my dad, who was a hardworking man. My dad used to cook like two things. So my sister's in the back. Say hi to Marisa. Hi, Marisa. My dad used to cook two things when I was growing up before he married Marisa's mom, Wilma. So Marisa's my half-sister. We made French bread pizza, which if any of you have never had it before, it's awesome. It's like you hollow out a loaf of French bread and put some sauce and cheese in there. A few of you guys are nodding your head. We had French bread pizza, and he would make like barbecue chicken and salad. And if he wanted to spice it up a little bit, he would take out a can of raw tuna fish, and he would heat up, I'm being serious. He would heat up some corn tortillas, and like we would eat tuna fish in corn tortillas. So those were our three options, right? So my dad did what he had to do. He was left alone with 4 kids. I'm trying to create something better. So if you're trying to create something better, you're my person. If you're not trying to create something better because you were born into greatness, you have your own struggle. So I feel sorry for myself at 17. I feel sorry for my son at 17, because my son was born into a family of entrepreneurialism and progression. He's never even had a job. He turned 16 and I was like, bro, you're not going to work. You're not going to flip burgers. What are we going to do to make some money? He's like, well, I want to wash cars. I'm like, all right, let's get you a trailer. And he made so much money in 60 days that he's literally lived off of it for the last year. So we got to teach some discipline principles, but that's his own crutch, and I've got mine. So if you're my person trying to create out of nothing, I get you. If you are trying to live up to the high expectations and achievements of your family, I get you, because they're both a struggle, right? So we've been doing this I've been licensed for 20 years. I'm a lead generator. Long story short, in 2012, Taylor and I sold our first brokerage. For those of you from Vegas, Taylor and I opened Simply Vegas Real Estate in 2010 with Gavin Ernstone. It was the three of us. We sold out, and Taylor and I had an idea for a social media application having nothing to do with real estate. We partnered with Shaquille O'Neal. Those of you who know Taylor and I were good family men. Shaq tried to get us to go to a strip club in Atlanta, and unsuccessfully, we did not go. Anyways, there's some more to that story, but we didn't go. We're proud to say. But we failed. We spent 2 years. We raised $1 million. We lost it all, and it was the most painful adult experience I've ever had. Like, if you've lost a little bit of your own money, it hurt, it burns. Lose money of the people you know, like, love, and trust, and it takes years to overcome. So after a while, we realized that was not going to work out, and we got back into real estate. One of the guys you'll meet this afternoon is a guy named Jimmy Mackin, who Taylor and I have worked with for the last 7 years. We said there had to be a better way. So what we did was we took everything we learned from our social media experience trying to create a mobile application, and we put that into our real estate career. So my role on the team is now lead generation. I've generated over 125,000 leads. When Josh speaks about conversion and the pain that goes along with that hits me hard. We've transitioned over the years. We used to generate a lot of raw leads. We now only generate warm opportunities for our agents, but my obsession is lead generation. And then we've got Angie, who you're going to meet later, is really the czar of lead conversion for us. And I'm very much committed to the principle that a real estate practice has multiple individuals. I don't know why, for some reason, we as real estate agents are obsessed with doing everything ourselves. Our friends in the dental industry, who, to be honest with you, most of you make significantly more money than dentists make, have like an entire staff of individuals to do everything, but then we as real estate agents somehow take pride in being everything to everyone. That's not us. We close about 1,000 transactions a year. The goal next year is, we haven't really established it. We need to lock in a number. I'd like to get to 1,500, 2,000 deals. What's funny is Spring and I and Taylor and a few of you guys, we belong to the same big mentorship group. And I remember we signed up for that mentorship group because the guy that runs it was doing 600 deals a year, and it blew my mind. Taylor and I looked at each other like, bro, we got to do this. And now we're closing 1,000, and I feel like we do nothing. And so it's cool to move your own goalpost every once in a while. So today I'm going to talk about 4 things. The first of which is me versus Zillow. I went to war with Zillow, for lack of a better term. For any of you who run teams, you'll feel this. We cannot make Zillow pencil running a team. It just won't work. Their numbers versus our numbers is something I'm going to get into. But I said to myself, I have to be able to take the knowledge. If I'm going to lose people's money and if I'm going to go through that hell for years, I've got to be able to leverage that knowledge into something. And so I leveraged it into basically the Joe Taylor Group versus Zillow, us versus them. How can I do what they do, control it myself, not be beholden to them, and generate a lead source to help feed my agents, to feed their business, and to create closings and transactions. All right, well, here's the metrics of the Us versus Zillow program. So our conversion rate, I say it's 5%. It's really only 5% from the people that work. Our conversion rate is either 0 or it's 5%. Because it's the people that do the stuff that Josh talked about can convert the leads I generate at about a 5% clip. And then there's a whole bunch of people who say they want to do what Josh is talking about. They don't do it, and their conversion rate is 0. So I made the decision in my mind, I'm only going to take the conversion rate of the people who work the leads the way they need to be worked. Am I okay doing that? You guys all right with that? The reality is, are the leads, the warm leads we create, converted about a 5% clip. So Angie is probably more like 10. But a lot of our agents, if I give them 20 leads, they'll turn it into a deal. Our raw cost per lead, so this doesn't count manpower, it doesn't count support staff, it doesn't count transaction management, it doesn't count toilet paper and soap, but our cost to generate that opportunity is about $10 a piece. It takes about 20 of these to create a real estate transaction, so our raw cost per closing, not including the human element, is about $200 per closing. You add in humans, which you have to do on both, the cost goes up, but our raw cost per closing is about $200, and the number of leads required to create a closing is 20. Taylor and I went up and sat at Zillow's headquarters, and they shared with us a couple of really interesting statistics. Their published conversion rate is 3.5%. Zillow is pissed at all you guys that buy their leads because they told us, and I don't remember, Taylor, you may remember the number better than I do, but I think they said something like only 40% of the leads they ever distribute get called once. Am I about right in there? 38%. So what's crazy, if you want to talk about insanity, it's a real estate agent paying $250 on a contract. So a lot of people go, well, I want 10 leads a month. And Zillow goes, all right, cool, Tom, that's $2,500 a month. And you're like, no problem. If I get 10 leads, I'll close 5 of them. And then the reality is he cuts the check for $2,500 and he never calls any of them. And so Zillow's like banging their head against the wall, so much so they've created their own ISA department because they're like, well, the realtors aren't going to do it, so we'll have to start calling the leads ourselves. The raw cost per lead, at least in Vegas, is about $250. Your marketplace may be a little bit different. It takes about $8,250 in raw spend to create a closing for us. So now if we're running a team and we're on a 50-50 split and the average commission is $10,000, once you add in the human element, why are we not big Zillow guys? Because it's a break-even exercise for us. If it's a $10,000 commission and we give an agent $5,000 and we recoup $5,000 and it costs $8,250 plus transaction management plus toilet paper and soap and everything it costs to run our office, all of a sudden we're going like, wait a minute, we're not making any money here. And so for us it became, how can we do what Zillow's doing? I'd be okay with a 3.5% closing rate. I just didn't want to lie to you and say that that's our number. Our number's 5. We really want to get it to 10. And I think if we live the principles Josh was talking about, we can get to 10. Because every single one of our leads, where's Nan? Is she here? She stepped out to get some decaf or something. So Nan is our human. Nan sits at a desk all day and talks to people and engages in conversations. So when I say lead, what I'm really talking about is conversations. My job is to create opportunities for agents to talk to people looking to buy and sell houses. Zillow's job is to create opportunities for agents to talk to people who are looking to buy and sell houses. Your mom, not a joke, but your mom's job is to create opportunities for you to buy and sell houses. So they're all leads. If my dad calls me and says like, hey, a buddy of mine that I bowl with needs to sell his house, my dad is basically Zillow that day, right? It doesn't cost $0 because I'm going to have to take my dad out to dinner. He loves to go to Joe's at Caesars, so it's going to cost me about $400 or $500 for this lead. But when I close them, my cost per that raw lead will go up to about $350, but I'll get some crab legs out of it as well, right? So everything's a lead, right? People I do CrossFit with. J-Mo and I met, Jake and I met at a CrossFit gym. Taylor and I do CrossFit. We did about 28 deals from our CrossFit gym. They weren't free. CrossFit's $100 a month. It hurt a lot. So like pain costs, right? And so all of those are leads. So I want you to become obsessed with this math equation, and I hope you can understand what I'm about to say. There's actually some parentheses here. So there is a math equation to your production, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not. But if we just say on a scale of 1 to 10, each of these 3 elements are 10, you have to take your consistency and times it by your persistence. Whether it's your dad's buddy from bowling, a Zillow lead, or a lead that I give somebody, the requirement to get to production is this math equation that is just, it's as true as gravity. If I take a business card out of my pocket and I drop it, it will fall. It's just truth. This is just truth. And let me explain it to you this way. If we say 10 times 10 with the ability to be times 10, we would equal a number that gives us a certain number of production. I believe Angie, sorry Ange to put you on the spot, I believe Angie is the best lead conversion person I've ever met in my entire life. If you have somebody better, we can do like a you got served style like lead convert off, and we can see if Angie can beat them. I think she probably can. I would put her up against anyone when it comes to lead conversion. Well, Angie is a 9.75. I mean, there may be a day where she's not as consistent as she should be. There may be a day where she's not as persistent as she should be. But she's a killer. So much so that there's times where Taylor and I are like, Ange, you probably should go home to your kids. Like, you should probably go home to your husband because he's probably a little bit ticked right now. But she brings it every day consistently. She shows up every single day. And you know what's sad? And I don't know if you've thought about this or not. It's actually sad that we would say that about a professional, right? Like nobody goes like, oh, this doctor, he's there every single day. Or this lawyer, man, he really shows up for trial. It's like, for some reason in our industry, we're so used to people half-aying it that it's like, oh my gosh, Angie shows up every day. And we're like, whoa, that blows our mind. And that's just the sad state of our industry. Because so many people get into real estate, not because they're like, man, I want to work my tail off. They get into real estate because they're sitting at a closing table and they work at Home Depot and their wife looks at Jake's commission on a closing disclosure and goes, sweetheart, Jake made $14,000 on this transaction. He worked like 3 hours. That's like $4,400 an hour. Babe, you can do what Jake does. And so the guy's like, oh yeah, screw this. I'm not going to go Home Depot anymore. I'm going to become a realtor. And he ends up at our office and we're like, all right, bro, this is real. Like, you've got to be consistent and you've got to be persistent. Oh yeah, no, I'm totally in. I cut wood for a living. You want to talk about consistent and persistent? Like, I cut wood. And then they get on the phone and somebody tells them stuff about their mom they've never known in their whole life, right? Like, and they're like, all right, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. And so then their consistency starts to struggle. And then we hear them on the phone the 1 or 2 times a week where they show up. And their conversations go something like this. Hey, Sean, I saw you inquired about some property that was listed on Zillow. And my name's Jake. I'm a real estate professional. I don't know if you know this or not, but I served in the Air Force. So go America. Are you curious at all? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Boom. And it's like, what? Jake never does this, but I'd be like, Jake, what did you just do? He's like, I didn't want to be pushy. And we're like, bro, Jake is actually very persistent. We don't call it pushy here. We call it persistence. Like, we're not pushy, but we're very persistent. And so if you ever get a chance, next time you're in Vegas and you want to come by and Angie's doing one of her call sessions, we'll grab a couple of cups. I don't know if you know it, but if you turn a cup upside down and put it up against the wall, you can kind of hear. And I just want you to hear her dial after dial after dial. Say things like, hey, Billy, this is Angie. You inquired about some property. Nan told me to give you a call. Is now a good time to talk? No? Okay, well, let me just ask you this then. Let me do this. Does the property you asked about, is that what you're looking for? Like, what's your price range? No, I get it. This will only take like 30 seconds. Do you have a home you need to sell? Okay, well, what's that address? Because I don't want to waste your time, but I'm just going to give you a quote on the value of your house so you know what it's worth. Okay, great. Well, hey, last thing. If I find you the house you're looking for, I know you're just looking, you're not very serious, but if I happen to find it, would you move in the next couple of months? Okay, great. Hey, you're going to get a text from me in 15 minutes. And then she gets a text, right? Shafeen, yesterday we were talking, she did this exact same thing, right? You talk to a client, a conversation, they're not interested at all. She says, you know what, let me do this. Let me get your address. I'm just going to give you a CMA on your property so you know what it's worth. I know you're not interested, but let me just give it to you anyways. So she's being persistent. And then yesterday, before you came to the Mix and Mingle, the client reached out to you like, oh my gosh, I can sell my house for that? Like, can you help me find a house? And so she turned that into where other people would have given up because they don't want to be pushy, Shafeen decided to be persistent, and she won. And so your production is nothing but a math equation of how consistent you are, and when you're consistently doing it, how persistent you are. And then there's the me's of the world. There's me, there's Zillow, there's Ylopo, there's every lead source in the world to give you more opportunity. So unless your significant other is the head of the PTO and delivers you teacher after teacher after teacher every month, you need more opportunities to talk to people. So it's me, or it's Zillow, or it's Ylopo, or it's Boomtown, or wherever you're buying your leads from, you need opportunities. Because no matter how consistent and persistent you are, if you don't have enough opportunities, you're still going to fail. So the consistency and persistence falls on you. The opportunity falls on me or Zillow or whoever. We good with that? Shout out to David Betterton. We talked about him for a second. In his first 5 weeks with us, give him a round of applause. He put 5 deals together in 5 weeks. He's a killer. So we just have a few rules that we live by, right? Every single relationship you have, if problems arise, it comes from one of two things. Either there is no agreement in place, or you violate an agreement. Are we cool with that? Some relationships have built-in agreements. Like marriage has a certain set of values that you just live by. Like nobody could go like, oh, I didn't realize we weren't able to date other people, right? I mean, we're married, okay? So with us, conversations need to be converted and they have to follow certain rules. So it's not even an emotional thing for us, it's a math equation. It's like, okay, we're gonna give you a new lead. You have to do 2 calls and 1 text in the first 10 minutes. Because if we don't do it, then what happens, David? It's gone. There's like a 4,000% likelihood or 400% likelihood it's going to convert if we get to it fast, and if we don't, the opportunity's gone. Once we've attempted to contact them and we haven't had success, we move them into attempted contact, and we call them every day. 9 calls, 6 texts, 6 emails, until we either move them out or we move them to our contacted, and if they're in our contacted list, we have to have home search set up for them. We need to be contacting them monthly. We need to leave notes. We need to create tasks. The reason I bring up these rules is because is Nan back? All right. So Nan, come in here for a second. So Nan's goal, Nan, where are we going to be in January? We're going to Costa Rica, okay? And in order to get to Costa Rica, it's not about leads assigned, because leads assigned now is easy for Nan. We made it a little bit harder. So Nan's Costa Rica trip is based on leads reassigned. So if we don't follow these rules, Nan and someone else reaches back out, Nan takes them and gives them to somebody else. And somebody would go, well, that's not fair. And I would say, I'm so glad you bring up the fair conversation. I love it. Thank you. How is it fair to us if you don't call these people? Like, I'll call Josh right now and have him come in here and yell at you. You know what I mean? And so Nan's whole job is to create additional opportunities. And if we don't follow these rules, then we're subject to reassignment. All right, let's do this. Let's connect. My preferred method of contact is Instagram. So take out your phone, follow me. I will follow you, and we'll be connected. Before we bring up our panel, I want to show you, it's at Joe Herrera. I don't know how I got that. I was lucky. There's lots of Joe Herreras in the world, but I'm the only one with that. There is a lot, right? I never knew that. All right, let's bring on our Colin Valentes, Angie Lauer, Cam Wade, Graham Allen, Darren Zuber. All right, well, let's talk for a second. I want to get into some real-world applications. Let's start with Darren. Darren, yesterday, so as we talked about, leads are not just things you buy on the internet. Darren has an amazing lead generation and really lead conversion program that he's doing, and it blew our mind. And I turned to Ange and I was like, Ange, we've got to do that. So talk a little bit about what you guys are doing.
You know, we've always been a SOI-based business. So we've really gone after the people we know. We figure they're easier to get back into our system than sometimes finding the leads. Right. So I met some people who were kind of doing some of these things, but what we decided, we'd always given that $200, $250 gift at the end of the event, the end of the listing, the end of the purchase. And we were told, why don't you break that up and continually give them gifts through the process, making them happier during our transaction. Because right now they could get up unhappy, they'd be happy. We're not going to know, but if we give them these little gifts all the way through that for us all cost $125 pretty much, then they truly are happier, and we end up getting text messages, oh my God, thank you for thinking of me.
So what are these gifts? What are you doing?
They're little gifts, and if anybody, when you guys do hear this, if anybody wants the playbook, Ida, stand up real quick. Ida is part of my wonderful team, which we got quite a few of them here. If you guys want the playbook, we have where we buy them, we have pictures of them, we have everything. So catch her at some point.
Ida, I want the playbook. I'm just telling you right now.
We'll get your email and your phone number, and we will send them on Thursday. They're little gifts. So when we meet with somebody, we give them a little book. So when we do a listing presentation, we give them a little book on how to make your best life. Like go see Mount Rushmore, whatever. It's just a cool little book. When we sign the listing, they get another little thing, and I'll be honest with you, I should have taught leverage today because I don't know what we do. So I don't remember what the second one is, but the coolest one to me, and this is kind of what got me, when our marketing person goes out to meet the photographer at the house, we don't tell them we're doing it. We just put a candle on the counter, and we put a note with it. And a note says, and this is kind of what really got me on this thing, it says, congratulations, your home will be live in a few days. We're going to be out looking for buyers for your home, and we plan on selling your home before the wick runs out. And I was like, that's cute.
That's
like
awesome.
That's so not me.
I love puns. I'm a sucker for a good pun. That's awesome.
And in the playbook, we do have the letter we send with every single one. So we go live, you get a gift. When we get an acceptance, we get, and all these are delivered through auxiliary companies. They get a bottle of champagne delivered to their house. That one costs us about $30. Then we sign disclosures. They get another big one. When we close, the agents are expected to give them a small gift of value. I mean, if they love Diet Coke, get them Diet Coke. If they love chocolate, like literally a small value. And then 45 days after the closing, we do send a really nice cutting board that's branded with the Zuber team. It has life. It stays on the shelf. You can't throw it away. It's a $100 cutting board.
So what difference have you seen this versus, I mean, we all, like we deliver a basket, we love it. Yeah. But honestly, we could take what we're already doing and deliver those things at different times instead of one big thing. But so what have you seen?
Well, and that's the thing. And let me tell you this. The one thing that we double this up with is my staff mostly makes calls. Hey, just wanted to make sure you got the champagne. Hey, just want to make sure you got this. And that's when my staff's able to say, hey, Yelisa is enjoying working with so much. I hope it's a 5-star experience. If it's ever not, please let me know. But the one thing Elisa would love is if you're out and about and you hear somebody buying or selling, she would love more business. Now, I don't know if you guys know, I've asked for leads my whole life. It's a hell of a lot easier to ask through somebody else than through you. So we time those with the gifts. So in the end, it is a lead generate. We are doing this to lead generate. We're not doing this to be kind. Being kind that's an extra.
Side benefit.
It's a side benefit. We are doing it to truly lead generate, and our referrals have gone through the roof. We can't track every one because sometimes they're here. But think about this. So let's take a Super Bowl party, right? Jennifer's at a Super Bowl party. She decides she's going to sell her house. She's in a group of people. She's of 6 people, and she says, hey, who should I use? All 6 people have somebody, right? Everybody has somebody. And then everybody kind of leaves, and somebody comes up who worked with me, and they're like, hey, you gotta work with the Zuber team. They did this, 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 and this, and I've never heard of another realtor doing that. Are the referrals gonna increase? Yes. We are paying for the referrals to be increased. That's what this game is. So that's one of many things we're doing. We also put some flags out. Client experience-wise, we put 10-foot flags out when they buy a house, welcome home, stuff like that. We try to do all of our signings in the office with red carpet, champagne or ciderish, whatever that is.
That's awesome.
We're really, you guys, the one thing I can tell you, I've been doing this business for 24 years. And it changes every year. But the one thing I can tell you, I think in the next 5 years, based on my research, you're either going to be a concierge agent where you're doing anything for them, not during a transaction, even when you're not in a transaction, you're going to be doing everything for them. Or you're going to be Redfin, and you're going to be doing nothing. Some of us are going to make 2.5%, 3%. Some of us are going to make 1%. I think this is the difference. I think going forward, this is the difference.
I love it. Thank you. So this afternoon, Taylor's going to talk about doing the stuff that Darren's talking about, but doing it with individuals, leveraging yourself, like you said. So Graham, we've known Graham forever. He was here in Vegas, worked with the Boy Scouts of America, raised a lot of money for the organization, transitioned up into Utah. You've been doing it now 3 years. And what's your production look like this year?
So I'll be 50 to 60 this year.
50 to 60 units. And what are you doing? Like what works? What is something you could tell them that they could put into their practice? Like how are you doing that?
So I think a couple things to add on to what Dave said here, but something we try to do for our client experience is we do a little bit of the same stuff. So like when they go under contract, we send out a Cold Stone gift card. So we have multiple touch points throughout the transaction. We're always touching base, and it is really cool for them to text back like, hey, cool, I just got your gift card. That was awesome, right? And then you can always follow up, awesome. Let me know if you have any other friends or families or somebody else following up for you as well. It's huge.
Well, and just a side note on that, I think there's so much power in what Darren and Graham are talking about, doing it during the transaction, because we created a system we thought was brilliant, and it was like a year after the transaction, we were hitting them with all these things, and we heard from them very sparsely, and I think part of the reason why that was because we were not top of mind at the time. So it was like 6 months after closing, they got a big packet of toilet paper, but it wasn't like we weren't top of mind at that point.
We had a talk yesterday with a few of us, but what it comes down, who knows what the RAS is? Your RAS, who knows what that is? So it's reticular activating something, and I can't remember what the last word is, but when you buy a car, if you go buy a Toyota Camry,
everybody has one.
The minute you buy the Toyota Camry, all you see are Toyota Camrys. You're like, why did I buy this? Oh, everybody has one.
Right.
When we talk about asking for the referral, most people ask for the referral at the end of the transaction. When is their RAS kicking? Their RAS is kicking during the transaction. They're out at parties going, oh, you're selling your house too? Everybody's selling or buying a house. The RAS. That's why we're doing it in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had to say
No,
RAS.
it's good. I love it. He loves the word RAS. So that's his thing.
And the other thing we do with it too is if we get a referral, and this is a big deal to us, we get a referral, we connect with that referral multiple times throughout the transaction as well. So the minute we get an EBBA or an ERS signed, the referral gets a gift card at that time. Not just for giving us the card, but actually for once we connect with him and we sign an agreement, they get a gift card that says, hey, congratulations, we just had an agreement signed. Once we go under contract, the referral gets a gift card, and once we close, the referral gets a Texas Roadhouse, like $50 on us to go out to dinner together.
Awesome.
And like it's a big deal. Like I've had multiple people refer people to come work with me because of that.
Well, and Graham's a killer in and of his own right. He's going to do 50 to 60 transactions. He's in a process now of running a team for us up in Utah, and he's learning how to transition himself from the day-to-day practice of real estate into a leadership role. So it's awesome as he continues to keep those things that is making him successful, teaching it to other agents, because like Darren said, if we don't learn how to provide great, exceptional service, we will be undone by technology. So
Yep.
that's awesome.
So I'll say a couple of things that I think we do really well. At least 50 to 60, I'll do probably 60 to 70% of their listings this year is what I'll do on mine. So I do a lot of listings, which is awesome. But one thing we do in all of our listings, and we rarely lose a listing presentation or listing opportunity. When we go, we throw in as part of our package service to our clients is we not only not only do we do professional photography and make it look awesome from the website, right? When people look onto it, they're like, I want to go see that house. But on the inside, we pay for 3 hours of cleaning, and we should bring a stager in for an hour and a half. So those are a couple items we do. It doesn't cost me a lot. My cleaner costs me $90 for 3 hours. My stager costs me $100 for them to go in for an hour and a half and put some plants in. But all of a sudden, people say, holy smokes, nobody else is doing this. I love what service I get with Real Broker and with Graham Allen. So
Awesome.
those are things we do. The other thing I'd say, though, Joe, on how do you make a difference as an agent? Like, how do you hit that next level of going from 12 deals to 24 deals? The biggest thing is probably this guy right here. You answer it regularly and consistently and quickly, right? There's something to that, hey, I respond in 5 minutes to a lead, right? There's something to say, I respond every time a client and an agent talks to me or calls me, right? I'm not just putting it off and waiting to talk to him in 24 hours. I'm immediately getting back with them before the end of the day on things. So that's a big difference I see with great agents is they're willing to open up the conversation. And I like the video. We're just hung up on it. But on the flip side, I really do believe at some point you have to keep the conversation going on some level, right? Whatever it is that makes that conversation keep going. Too often we take no and we turn around and say, yeah, that door's shut. Sorry about that. I'm walking away. We have to find out how to keep that conversation going. If you've never read a book, it's called Never Split the Difference. Fabulous book. And in that book, they've got multiple in fact, I keep them on my phone. There's multiple questions I bring up with agents whenever I'm in negotiations and with clients. Whenever we run into a hard situation, I just bring up this. So I've got it right here in front of me when I'm talking to them, and we can stop and I can ask them questions instead of just yes/no questions. I'll revert it to, hey, what is the biggest challenge you face? Yep. Hey, what about this doesn't work for you? How would you like me to proceed? So I've got these 10 to 15 questions I can just choose through that keep the conversation going either by text or over the phone.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Ange, we're running short on time, but how do I phrase this question? I've already hyped you up, and so like, why are you, my favorite scene from The Office is when Michael asks Toby, like, why are you the way that you are? But anyways, like, what makes you tick? Like, why are you so driven and committed and great at what you do? Can you box that for us?
You've asked me this question before, and I've flubbed it hard. What just happened? I got to keep it over there. I would say I love what you just said about really getting in there with them and talking to them and asking them things that aren't yes and no questions. I learned that a long time ago. You want something that's more than a yes or a no. I guess with me, it probably comes a lot from my service background, right, which is a lot, many of you that are from Las Vegas, we are all in service. And
you could put it closer, Ange.
Sorry. I was the best damn waitress when I lived in LA. I'm telling you, everybody requested me. And it was because if they were unhappy or they made the littlest face while they were eating their food, I was like, what's wrong? Do you want to send that back? Like, let's send it back. Oh, no, we can't. So I have brought that into my real estate career. And if anything, if they're not happy, like I feel like if somebody, a lot of you guys that know me really well, if you text me back, okay, I'm like, what the hell? Okay? Like there's no emoji? Like I just really want.
Not even a thumbs up or something?
Oh, no, the thumbs up's even worse. Don't give me the thumbs up. I'm going to call you if you give me the thumbs up. Like, what's wrong? Why'd you just give me the effing thumbs up? Sorry. Okay and a thumbs up are not okay with me. I want to feel like my clients are happy all of the time. Yeah. And if they're not, then I'm upset. Like, I'll go to dinner and I'll go, damn it, they said okay and thumbs up. Like, I literally think about it like that. That's probably why.
So is it fair to say that if you and I went to Alaska, which we need to, and I get a bucket of dirt, and I showed it to 100 people, they'd say it's a bucket of dirt. Would it be fair to say that you would see a pile of gold? Like, it seems to me like when we deliver people to you, some people go like, well, no, they didn't call me back or they didn't answer, but you, it seems like, have this underlining knowledge that if you have 20 conversations, you're going to do 2 transactions.
For sure. I would say, as we've been going over the steps in the lead converting, the most exciting people are the people I haven't talked to yet. Once I've talked to them, it's like, yeah, okay, we got that one. But the people that are in attempted contact that are like 6 or 7, I'm like, here we go. They're going to answer right now, and then I got to talk for 20 minutes. You know, like that's the exciting part. So I guess, yes, if you gave me, that's the part that's the most exciting of the day. I leave that till last, is my people that I haven't actually talked to yet.
How many deals do you have in escrow right now?
13.
13.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Cam, I know the least about you. Like, tell me, what do you guys do? What are you excelling at? Like, what is for lead conversion, deal trend? I know we talked to Darren a little bit yesterday, and you guys have a little bit of that same, like, just obsession with client experience. So, what do you guys do? What is Strive? What do you guys do well?
Okay, so most of our business comes from referrals or social media. What we do is we have a team of about 5 agents, and then we have our team Instagram. And we literally, when one person posts something, we all reshare that, and that's kind of our way of lead generation. Personally, Instagram is how I lead generate. So I post everything on stories, and it's not like a professional template or anything like that. It's very just me, and I post about my kids. So if you go on my Instagram at realtor_mom, you'll know everything about me.
So Gary Vee calls it documentation over creation. Do you feel like you're just documenting your life and people are attracted to it?
Right. Just super authentic and transparent as possible about business stuff and personal things. And I think that does attract people, other moms that are looking to buy and sell.
Right. Because they can relate to your life.
Right.
It's relatable. I love it. All right, guys, big round of applause for our panel.